do scenes actually work? When I first started writing, I heard this concept called scene and sequel. I had no idea what that meant. None whatsoever. I remember taking a course with Lisa Gardner, who is an amazing suspense writer, absolutely amazing, probably one of the best writers I've ever read. And she explained it in this really easy to understand way. And that's what I'm hopefully going to do for you in this video, because it can be a concept that seems so daunting, scene and sequel. How long is that? How long is this? How does it all work together? But it's not, if you understand the elements that go into it. When we talk about plot structure, which is something I talk about in this 6-part video series here, your character has a goal. They basically have a reason for being on the page and a reason for the reader to care about what they are doing on the page. The goal should be something that takes them some time to accomplish. Like in Legally Blonde, for Elle Woods to get into Harvard, succeed in Harvard, pass the bar, become a great lawyer, and do great things, it's not just one thing. She has a whole lot of things she has to do in order to accomplish her goal.
What, like it's hard?
Of getting into Harvard and becoming a lawyer. So when you have that, you create a bunch of little scenes. Those are the steps that the character has to take to get from A to Z. Each of those scenes has a reason for existing. Just as the goal gives the entire book a reason for existing, the scene should have a reason for existing. It is one of the building blocks that goes into the plot, and the character absolutely, positively has to have a goal for the scene. They have to have something that they want to accomplish.
Wait a minute!
Now, wait, you're gonna say, but I need to have a funny scene here, or I need to have a scene here that shows my hero being a good guy, or I need to have a scene here that shows the history with the heroine's family. Yes, but it should also have something to do with the plot. It should also be accomplishing something towards the end of the plot. When Bob Odenkirk has that kitten at the beginning of Nobody, and in the scene later in the movie where he rescues the kitten, none of those are just scenes that show him being a good guy. In the very beginning, when he's pulling the kitten out of his jacket and feeding the kitten, he is basically delaying telling the cops what happened. That movie is set in what's called a frame structure, where you have present day, and then it goes back into the past. Present day frames the beginning and the end of the movie. And we go back to where he actually rescues the kitten, which is like, I don't know, 3/4 of the way through the movie, maybe further. And when he does that, he's also in the middle of killing the bad guys. That scene is not just there for chuckles, but it does make people laugh at the same time. So you can do multiple things with your scene at once. Now, just like the book does, the scene has structure. The character has a goal. They have a motivation for wanting to achieve that goal, and they have conflicts, things that get in their way, whether that's the bad guys or the person that won't tell them the truth or the long journey that they have to take, whatever that is, there's some kind of obstacles in their way. At the end of the scene, the character does one of two things. They either achieve it or they don't. I mean, that's pretty black and white, right? They either get it or they don't. But here's what makes it interesting, and here's what creates an interlocking plot.
This is the best part.
No matter whether they get it or they don't, things must get worse in some way, shape, or form. The beginning of Ozark is a perfect example of this, where Marty is trying to talk his way out of being killed. So he's failing and failing and failing, and then finally pulls out this map of the Ozarks and say, hey, we can launder the money in the Ozarks, which is great. He achieved his goal. He didn't die. But
this is the best part.
Now he has to launder money for the mob. So in the scene, they either achieve their goal or they don't, and things get worse in some way, shape, or form. That's the scene. Boom. But you have to have something called a sequel. And that is sort of the thing that wraps it up and moves you into the next part of the book. The mistake with sequels that a lot of people make is they make them way too long. If you can keep your sequel short and get right into the next action, the reader's going to be going right along with you. The sequel is comprised of 5 parts. And that is, first of all, a physical reaction and an emotional reaction. Marty had a big breath of relief. Yes, they bought it, they understood, and then an, oh crap, now I'm working for the mob moment. After they have the physical and emotional reaction, they have what's called a quandary. Oh, what do I do now? And that happens very quickly, because then they have to make a decision. You can't just stand there dithering for 20 minutes. Like, nobody likes to watch somebody go, should I go? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I stay? That is not fun at all. Your character needs to be, oh no, what do I do now? All right, I'm going to do this. And then that creates another action. And guess what that other action is? That is the goal for the next scene. So this is how you create an interlocking plot. They have a goal, which is the action that they take. It works out or it doesn't, and things get worse. That creates a quandary for what to do next. They make a decision, take another action, rinse and repeat over and over again. People will ask, where does the sequel happen? It happens where you think it best should happen. So if you're going to end your scene with things getting worse by a dead body appearing on the floor, that's a big hook. So you just want to end right there and have the sequel happen at the beginning of the next scene in that character's point of view, because you don't want to lessen the impact of this, oh my gosh, who died? I got to turn the pages and find out. Sometimes you can put the sequel right at the end of the scene where the character's like, oh crap, what just happened? I better do this. The sequel should be as short as you can make it, because the reader is reading to see what actions the character takes, not reading to see the character sit around and think and process and hem and haw. We want to see them taking action and taking control over what is happening to them. The other question I get is, do you always have to have a sequel? I think you have to have some kind of emotional reaction. When they have an outcome that gives them ramifications, they've got to deal with those and they've got to grow and change. So when do you stop making things get worse and actually let them get better? So if you look at the plot chart, there's a point very close to the end of the book where things get their absolute worst. There are plot arcs where it gets really, really bad, it gets a little better, and then it gets worse again. Like if you see the Scream movies, they're always like, well, you got to shoot them in the head or they're going to come back.
Careful, they always come back.
So it's that arc of really, really bad, a little better, and then really bad, and then better again. The reason why is that once things start getting better, the reader's like, okay, it's all good. We can stop reading the book. So you don't want your conclusion of your story to take too long. You really want to keep them turning the pages until the very last one. If you want to learn more about how scenes actually work, some ways that they can go wrong, and how to work in something called moments of hope and moments of despair, then check out this 2-part video series here, because that will tell you a lot of the things that can easily go wrong in your scene and exactly how to fix them.